institution. It doesn't mean anything today. We live in a mental institution. 'Cause everything's crazy. They're doing away with borders. It's a new world. It's a new day. There is a new world order coming to your town. You better get ready. You better get ready. It's a new day. It's a new way. It's a new day, new day. It's a new way.
Hey there, boys and girls. I'm Wild Bill, and I just rode into town. Look out, all you bad guys out there. I'm fixing to blow the whistle on all your evil plans. Yes, it is Saturday night, and you are not going to believe what I got for you right here on Revolution Radio.
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The shadow knows.
That's right. Welcome to the Samsel Report, coming to you live from my personal isolation tank right here in St. Louis, Missouri. All right, boys and girls, let's get this here show on the road. Ladies and gentlemen, our government is a cesspool of corruption. Oh, yes, our industrial might is a thing of the past, and the Constitution and Bill of Rights are being trashed by a treasonous, out-of-control government intent on enslaving the American people. I know it sounds like some low-budget horror movie, doesn't it? Doesn't it? It sounds like something right out of the Twilight Zone. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? We live in the Twilight Zone. Oh, yes, we do. You're traveling through another dimension, a dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance. You are bombarded by the conditioning illusion projected forth by corporate and government-controlled mass media. A world of mind-controlled automatons, unable to think or speak out or stand up for themselves. You're entering a world where everything is just the opposite of what you think it is. You are living in the Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone. Oh, man. We live in the Twilight Zone, ladies and gentlemen. The mainstream media is a weapon. a weapon being used to control and dumb down the population, even as they are raped financially, their rights and liberties trampled upon, and America destroyed by design. And now it's time for an important message, especially for you listeners out there. Oh, yes, because this here program on Revolution Radio is listener supported. And that means you, ladies and gentlemen. If you like this network and you like this here program, then please send us money. Now, we don't want a whole lots of money. No, all we want is whatever you can spare. That's it. That's right. So please help fund this broadcasting network. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, you need this broadcasting network. Revolution Radio is the voice of truth and freedom that you won't hear anywhere else. So please help support informative, entertaining, fabulously original, innovative, cutting-edge, enlightening, mind-expanding, and awe-inspiring programs just like this one. Oh, yes, it's Wild Bill's headline Roundup, and it is heard only on Revolution Radio. So send us money. That's right. Oh, yes. Yes, it is the Samsel Report, the amazing answer to mainstream media mind-washing. Oh, yes, one simple dose of the Samsel Report has been found to instantly cause anal discharge of cranial obstruction. Yes, it is now possible for the sheeple to see the light of day. Yes, they can now breathe deeply the sweet air of truth, rather than the noxious fumes of media and government propaganda. The Samsel Report, heard weekly, is guaranteed to dislodge head from ass like nothing ever experienced before. How is that possible? Well, the Samsel Report is the only show that contains humor as its active primary ingredient. Humor is dissolved instantly by the body, causing uncontrollable laughter. And that laughter has been actively proven to stimulate mental activity. Sheeple can now experience dramatic results within 2 short hours. And the effects of Wild Bill's sarcastic wit can last for days. Yes, it is the Samsel Report. And it is heard only, mind you, on Revolution Radio. Okay, all right. Do you know what time it is, buckaroos? Do you know what time it is? Well, let me tell you. It is time for Wild Bill's headline Roundup. Oh, yes, all the news that you won't get from the mainstream media. It is time to saddle up with old Wild Bill, and we're gonna head on out there and gather us up a whole mess of them there headline critters. Okay? All right. Are you ready to ride, buckaroos? Are you ready to hit the trail? Well, let's get going then. Let's hit the trail. Yes, indeed. Yeehaw! That's right. Hi-ho, sweetheart. Away! That's right. It's time for Wild Bill's Headline Roundup on Revolution Radio. Are you ready for this? Are you ready, boys and girls? Okay. All right, here comes our first headline. Cancer rates surge 57% in the next 20 years. That's what the report says. Look out. A new report from the World Health Organization warns that cancer rates around the world will experience a 57% surge over the next 20 years. That would mean cancer rate diagnoses would rise from an estimated annual total of 14 million to 22 million. Deaths from cancer are also expected to rise during the same period from 8.2 million deaths a year to 14 million. Oh, yes, that's right. That's right. You heard right. The World Health Organization's World Cancer Report says that healthcare providers around the world will not be able to address the problem by simply treating cancer patients. Oh, no, in fact, the report argues that current cancer treatment costs, estimated at an annual $1.16 trillion, are already hurting major world economies. Instead, the organization advises that governments focus on prevention and early diagnosis. Oh, man. What they failed to mention is that 57% surge in cancer rates just might be attributable to all the radioactive fallout from Fukushima. Remember Fukushima? We are literally wallowing in it, ladies and gentlemen. You know, breathing it, getting rained and snowed on. You know, eating it, drinking it, bathing in it. And don't forget, it's still being emitted into the atmosphere. They're still dumping millions of gallons of it into the Pacific Ocean. And what gets me is that everybody I tell about it, it goes in one ear and it comes out the other. They look at me like I'm full of crap. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just some wild and crazy conspiracy theorist. Well, after all, if it was really true, it would be all over the news, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Am I right? Ladies and gentlemen, let's take that one and stick it right in the corral where it belongs. What do you say? Get on in there! Get on in there! Get on into focusing on the... They won't even tell us about all this crap. I'm telling you, ladies, get on in there. Man, oh man. Here's a related story. Are you ready for this? Here's a related story. Officials identify the surprising killer of 27 bald eagles. Oh yes, you heard right. Since early December, more than 24 bald eagles have turned up dead along the banks of the Great Salt Lake. And now, wildlife officials in Utah have identified the killer. Are you ready for this? A rare wintertime outbreak of West Nile virus. Oh, man. Excuse me, but I can't bring myself to believe anything that I hear from government officials anymore. At all. Nada. Zero. Zilch. Boopkiss. West Nile virus? I got you, West Nile virus, right here. That's right. That's right. Why not indigestion? Or flatulence, or perhaps even explosive diarrhea. It's all the same crap coming from government officials. That's right. I'm more concerned about what they are not telling us. What's killing off all the wildlife? Well, can you say Fukushima? Can you do that? Can you say Fukushima? Man, oh man. Get on in there. Get your cell phone in there. West Nile virus. I got you, West Nile virus. Get on in there. I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen. It is getting unbelievable, isn't it? Isn't it? Am I right? Let's go on to our next headline. The U.S. Postal Service announces a giant ammo purchase. Oh yes, you heard right. The U.S. Postal Service is buying ammunition. Oh yes. Post Office. The U.S. Post Office joins other federal agencies stockpiling over 2 billion rounds of ammunition. Oh man. On January 31st, the USPS Supplies and Services Purchasing Office posted a notice on the Federal Business Opportunities website asking contractors to register with USPS as potential ammunition suppliers for a variety of cartridges. The United States Postal Service is soliciting proposals for assorted small arms ammunition. The notice reads, ironically, the Postal Service isn't the first non-law enforcement agency seeking firearms and ammunition. Oh, no, they're not. No, they are not. The Education Department has spent over $80,000 so far on Glock pistols and over $17,000 $100,000 on Remington shotguns. How do you like them apples, huh? The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration also purchased 72,000 rounds of .40 caliber Smith & Wesson ammunition. Oh, yes, they did. Oh, yes. The National Weather Service purchased 46,000 rounds of .40 caliber Smith & Wesson jacketed hollow point ammo. Oh, yes, the Office of Fisheries purchased 40,000 rounds of .40 caliber hollow point ammunition. The government has purchased an estimated 2 billion rounds of ammunition in the past 2 years. Oh, man. As the federal government grows larger, more and more federal agencies such as the Department of Education and the NOAA are forming and arming their own law enforcement divisions with hundreds of thousands spent on full-blown arsenals. Even the EPA has its own SWAT teams conducting raids on peaceful Americans. Expect to see more large-scale firearm and ammunition purchases by these bureaucracies as they become even more militarized. Now, who do you think these dirtwads are going to use all this ammo on? Huh? The American people? You think? Nah, get out of here. That's crazy. It'll never happen. What are you, some kind of conspiracy theorist? They're just looking out to protect us, that's all. You know why, don't you? It's because they love us. That's why. They're concerned about our welfare. Big Brother is simply looking out for his millions of little siblings. That's right. How do you like them apples? Get on in there. Get on in there. They're just looking out because they love you. They love us, ladies and gentlemen. Get on in there with your bull hockey. Man, oh man, oh man. I tell you what, it's just unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. It's unbelievable. You're riding with Wild Bill's Freedom Posse. That's right. You're riding with the Freedom Posse right here on Revolution Radio. That's right. And I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, we live in the Twilight Zone. Oh, yes, we do. Oh, man. That's right. We live in the Twilight Zone. You are listening to the Samsel Report. This is Wild Bill's Headline Roundup. And we continue on. Our next headline. Rand Paul says, Obama is transforming the United States into a socialist nightmare, and he urges Americans to rise up against tyranny. That's what Rand Paul says. Oh, Paul has a huge issue with the way that the Obama administration seems determined to continually bypass Congress and take executive action to do blithely whatever he thinks he can get away with. Obama's going to do whatever he thinks he can get away with. That's right. That's what Rand Paul said. Oh, yeah, those were his words. He also said the whole country ought to rise up and say, look, this is a free country, and we want our freedom back. That's what Rand Paul said. Oh, yes. He also said, blah, 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 blah. That's what he said. You know what? You know what, ladies and gentlemen? I am totally disgusted with what any of these political dirtbags in Washington have to say about any damn thing. That's right. That's right. Rand Paul included. He also says he's for legalization of all the wetbacks from below the Rio Grande. That's right. He said, we'll make a place for you. That's what he said. Those were his words. Hey, Rand, you ever hear about the NAU? Huh? These people make me wanna puke. Lately, I wanna throw my guts up every time I go looking through the headlines to put this here show together. The Republicans are just as bad as the Democrats, and the Democrats are just as bad as the independents, because the independents will swing either way. Oh yes, the only way things are going to truly change is if we go in there and throw all these dirty, rotten, traitorous dirtwads out of there. And they all should be stood up against a wall and shot. No, I tell you what, better yet, hang them. String them all up. Publicly. Okay? All right? No, I tell you what, better yet, strap them all into the hot seat and fry these people. Fry these people in the hot seat. Oh, yes, every last one of them. I tell you what, stick pins in them till they bleed to death. How's that? How do you like that? I tell you what, drop them from 30,000 feet. Take them up there and drop them from 30,000 feet. There you go. So that they can think about it as they plummet to the ground. Oh, yes. I tell you what, let's tie him to a spit. Let's tie him to a spit, suspend him over a blazing fire, and roast the dirty bastards to death. How do you like that? Isn't that a good idea? I think so. I think so. And while we're at it, let's barbecue the banksters as well. Oh, yes, and don't forget the lawyers and the international corporate CEOs, too. All right? Okay, let's feed them. I tell you what, let's feed them all to a bunch of starving, rabid dogs. Okay? How's that? We should do that. Oh, yes. I tell you what, let's bury them up to their necks on a beach and wait for high tide to come in. Huh? Isn't that a great idea? Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not kill them all off? That's what they're doing to all the rest of us, isn't it? Am I right? Aren't they killing this country and the American people? Huh? Huh? Aren't we being slowly bled to death by 1,000 incisions? Am I right? Meanwhile, these dirty rats sit comfortably in their ivory towers, while our liberties, our freedom, and our privacy get ground into the dirt by the New World Order, globalist, Satanist steamroller. That's right. They plan to squash us like bugs, ladies and gentlemen. They're laughing at us, people. They are laughing at us, people. And before they're through, they'll be dancing on our graves. I'm telling you. Do I sound just a little bit extreme? Huh? Perhaps maybe I sound a little bit unchristian-like? Huh? Could it be because I'm just a little bit disgusted with these people? Huh? Could it be that I'm fed up with all their freaking bullshit? Shouldn't the American people rise up and start kicking some political butt? Huh? Am I right? Haven't we all just had just about enough of this? Huh? I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, let's take that last one and put it where it belongs, okay? Let's stick it right down the old porcelain commode. There you go. There you go. Right where they belong. All those dirty scumbags in Washington, D.C. The District of Criminals, ladies and gentlemen. The District of Criminals. Am I right? Am I right? Huh? Am I right? That's right. You damn right I'm right. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That's right. These people are unbelievable, aren't they? Aren't they? We live in the Twilight Zone, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Man, man, oh, man. You are listening to the Samsel Report. This is Wild Bill's Headline Roundup. Let us move on with our next headline. Here's a bit of good news. A third banker has committed suicide. That's right. The third banker within a week commits suicide. Mike Duker, the chief economist at Russell Investments, who was previously an assistant vice president at the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, was found dead at the side of a highway in Washington state. According to the Pierce County Sheriff's Department, this guy jumped off of a 50-foot embankment in what police are describing as a suicide. He was reported to have been having problems at work. he was having problems at work, okay? Duker's apparent suicide follows those of London banking executives Gabriel McGee and Bill Brooksmith. McGee, a senior manager at J.P. Morgan's, jumped 500 feet from the top of the bank's headquarters in central London on Tuesday. Last Sunday, former Deutsche Bank executive Brooksmith was found dead, hanging at his South Kensington home. Perhaps with a little bit of luck, some more bankers will decide to commit suicide out of guilt. That's right. Should they come to the realization of how badly they've screwed over the American people. That's right. We can only hope, ladies and gentlemen. We can only hope.
You're riding with Wild Bill's Freedom Posse.
That's right. You're riding with the Freedom Posse. You're listening to the Samsel Report right here on Revolution Radio. That's right. Oh no. Oh, who let them out? Who let them out? Come on, close the gate. Close the gate. My goodness gracious me. They get out. They roam around all over the place. They have no idea what's going on. They have no idea what they're doing. Close that gate. Oh, come on. We're trying to do a program here. We're trying to put on a program here. Close the gate. Oh, man. I tell you what, them sheeple, they will put up with just about anything that the federal government decides to throw at them. Am I right? Okay, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest on the show tonight. We have on the line, we have Adolf Hitler. Mr. Hitler, would you say hello to the listening audience?
Ist der sprotzig einen und des Grubens in Augen, das ist lustigste einer und der sprotzig Gubenweiner. Und das Los und das Briggens in Augen, das Sprugens in Sugen.
Mr. Hitler, could you,
Was lubendes Augen, das ist einer und der Sprinz in Guben. Und das lustigste einer und der sprotzig einer Sprudens in Guben.
Mr. Hitler, could you speak English so that our listening audience can understand what you're saying to them, please?
Ist gut, ja, ist gut.
Well, Mr. Hitler, let me ask you this question. Are you aware of the New World Order, and could you comment on that for our listening audience?
Ja, der New World Order ist gut, ja, ist gut.
Mr. Hitler, in the United States of America today, we find ourselves confronted with a total track and trace police state. Can you comment on that, please?
Ja, ist gut, ist meine Stormtroopers und der Drones und der Spying ist mein Kampf. Mein Kampf ist gut. Mein Kampf ist gut, ja.
Man, oh man. It certainly sounds like you approve of the destruction of the Constitution and our God-given rights in this country today.
Was lubendes Augen, das ist einer und der
Mr. Hitler, could you...
und das lustigste einer und der sprotzig einer Sprudens in Guben.
Could you speak English so that our listening audience can understand what you're saying to them, please?
Ja, der New World Order ist gut, ja.
Well, let me ask you this. If you were the president of the United States, what would you do differently than Barack Obama?
Ist das der Homeland? Und ist der Gestapo? Und ist das Stormtroopers? Unser Panzertanks? Unser Messerschmitt? Und alles ist gut, ja!
Man, oh man. I think this guy is totally out of his mind, don't you? We're just going to end this here interview. You know, I think he'd fit right in with the criminals in Washington, D.C., don't you? So, anyway, there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, an interview with Adolf Hitler. And you heard it first, right here on the Samsel Report. We now continue with the headline Roundup. Our next headline: 1,154,000 fewer Americans are working today than 6 years ago. Oh, that's right. You heard right. 1,154,000 fewer Americans are working today than 6 years ago. That's according to data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Now, that's if you believe the numbers put out by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. You should know by now that the Bureau of Labor Statistics is full of bureau bull. That's right. They're full of bureau bull. Okay, 1 million more Americans. Really? How would you like to be the proud owner of a bridge in Brooklyn? I think it would be safe to assume that perhaps 10 times that number would be more in line with the truth. I'm sure that every single one of you out there listening to the show knows at least one friend or relative that is unemployed. And many of you know 2 or 3 people that's out of work. Oh, yes. So what does that tell you? And what about the millions who are working like slaves for peanuts? Huh? What about the professionals that now find themselves flipping burgers for a living? Huh? How about all the college graduates that are working for Walmart? Huh? What about all the people getting their hours cut? What about the growing number of homeless people out there? What about the growing number of people that, despite their best efforts, find themselves sliding down the slippery slope of poverty? What about them? What about young adolescents that can't find their first jobs? What about all the illegal wetbacks taking up jobs that desperate Americans would gladly do in order to help put food on their family's table? Huh? What about the lying government bureaucrats that don't want the American people to know how truly bad it is out there? Aren't you getting tired of being constantly, obviously, and blatantly lied to by these dirty, rotten scumbags? Huh? Huh? What am I right? Am I right? Let's take that and stick it in the corral where it belongs. Get on in there. Get yourself on in there. All of your numbers mean nothing. That's right. Your numbers mean nothing. That's right. You're full of bull hockey. You're full of bull hockey, I'm telling you. In fact, I didn't like that one so much that I'm going to put the damn thing out of its misery. There you go. I'm going to put the damn thing out. Whoa, wait a minute. It's still moving. It's still twitching. Hold on a minute. Yeah, give it another one. Come on. Hey, give it another one. Yeah. All right, there you go. There you go. The Bureau of Labor Statistics and all their bull hockey. I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen. I tell you what. Man, oh man, oh man. What was that, sweetheart? What did you say there, darling? I thought okay, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, according to Sweetheart, I have neglected to play this little clip for you. So hold on, here it comes.
Yes, it's Charlie Danger, private detective. Charlie Danger, defender of the Constitution. And now, Charlie Danger, private detective.
Get this and get it straight. Crime is a sucker's road, and those who travel it today are more cunning, traitorous, and evil than ever. They got big wallets and big ideas and big plans, and they don't like anything or anyone that gets in their way. I ought to know. I'm Charlie Danger. It was a cold, windy day as I sat behind my desk in my cozy little office waiting for a phone to ring that lately hadn't been ringing enough. I sat staring blankly at the wall, listening to the sultry sound of the sax player down the hall practicing for his next weekend's gig. I was trying to decide if I should get up and fix myself yet another drink. Suddenly the door burst open and a beautiful blonde bombshell in a fancy evening dress that fit just right in just the right places strolled into the room. She stood there in her spiked heels looking utterly gorgeous and at the same time a little bit dangerous. I say dangerous because in her pretty little hand was a great big .38 caliber snub-nosed Smith & Wesson and the business end was pointing right at my ticker.
Yes, there are now 4 Charlie Danger adventures to choose from. Go to hiddenmysteries.com. That's hiddenmysteries.com.
That's right. You can go to hiddenmysteries.com where you can check out Charlie Danger, Private Detective. Oh yes, there are 4 Charlie Danger adventures to choose from, and there is a new one on the way, Dead and Dead Again. So, go to Hidden Mysteries and check them out. Order yourself one. Help to keep Wild Bill from living in poverty, okay? All right. You can also check out today's New Atlantis. All right? Some serious stuff. Check it out. You get yourself a copy of that. Or you can get Coyote Trail, which is a Western, all right, about this truck driver who winds up going back in time to the days of the Old West. So check it out. It's really something else. Go to hiddenmysteries.com and check them all out, okay? All right, will you do that for me? Will you do that? Okay, all right. I'm getting to it. All right, I will get. All right, I will get to it in a minute. Okay, give me a break here. All right.
Free your mind, and your ass will follow. Before we begin, I would like to take this opportunity to make the listener or listeners aware that any views or opinions expressed are the sole artistic creation of a single human entity. Thus, said entity assumes full responsibility for all thoughts, ideas, concepts, assumptions, suppositions, assertions, quotations, exclamations, evaluations, disclosures, revelations, usurpations, plagiarism, propaganda, indoctrination, insinuations, innuendos, or exposés that may or may not be heard during the act of listening to this audio.
That's right. And that means I'm not responsible for anything that comes out of my mouth, okay? Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Hold your horses. I'm getting a psychic vibration has just entered into my mind. That's right. I have this psychic impression that there's a break coming up. There's a break coming up.
Listen to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We'll be right back after this message. Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We'll be right back after this message.
Good bread because I was making $2.71 an hour.
That's right, and then we shipped all your jobs off to China. Oh, man, look out. Oh, the turkeys are roaming around. Oh, man, look out. I tell you what, you're listening to the Samsel Report right here on Revolution Radio. You're riding with Wild Bill's Freedom Posse. That's right, and I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, we live in the Twilight Zone. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That's right, we live in the Twilight Zone. Oh, man, I tell you what, are you having a good time on the Samsel Report tonight? Are you having a good time? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, you're having a good time listening to the Samsel Report right here on Revolution Radio. So, put that in your pipe and smoke it, okay? All right, are you ready to continue with the headline roundup? Are you ready? Okay, all right. Our next headline. Supreme Court Justice finds labeling illegal aliens offensive. I tell you what, super left-wing Obama appointee Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor gave a speech before some students at Yale University, and she spoke of her dislike of the term illegal aliens. Oh, man. She considers the term disrespectful. Oh, yes. It is disrespectful to slur the wetbacks that disrespect our immigration laws. That's right. Oh, yes. I think Americans shouldn't paint those individuals as something less than worthy human beings, she said. I very much favor the term undocumented immigrants. That's what she said. Those were her words. She also said the illegal immigration problem was more of a regulatory issue than a criminal one. The long-term member of La Raza wants to legalize the 40 million illegal aliens that plague our nation. Well, it seems rather plain to me where little Miss La Raza's loyalties lay. The queen of the wetbacks would rather stand up for the illegal aliens than for the will of the American people. Yes, the American people, who overwhelmingly support border security and the enforcement of current immigration laws. That's right. That's right. So let's stick old Sonia Sotomayor into the corral where she belongs with all the rest of them fat cows out there. Okay? All right? Get on in there. Get yourself on in there, Sonia Sotomayor or Sotomay or whatever the hell your name is. It don't matter to me. Stick you in there with the rest of the cows. Okay? All right? We now continue with the headline roundup. Guess what, people? Guess what? Guess what? It's time for police state news. Are you ready for this? Boy, oh boy, do I have some police state news for you guys tonight. Tonight I have good news and bad news. Okay? All right, first, the bad news. We'll get that out of the way before we do the good news. Okay? Our next headline. Cops swat innocent family, destroy their home and the security cameras to cover up the evidence. Oh, man, oh, man. Look out. Armed militarized police in Iowa smashed their way into the home of an innocent family last week and discovered that they were being filmed on home security cameras. Oh, man. So what did they do? One officer ripped the camera out of the wall. He ripped the thing out of the wall. That's what he did. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Another one covered up a security camera to prevent the raid from being documented. Oh, yes. The cameras captured the scene as up to a dozen armed police dressed in helmets, ski masks, and riot gear stormed up to the home of Sally Prince and smashed her front door in, searching for someone they suspected was using stolen credit cards to buy clothes and electronics. That's right. Oh, yes, they stormed into her home, pointing guns at her family and shouting orders. That's what they did. It's a good thing the family didn't have a dog, or else he would have been shot. That's what they like to do. They like to do that, you know. Upon discovering the cameras, they put them all out of action to cover up the SWAT team's activities inside the house. Oh, yes. I have been so traumatized I can't sleep at night, said Sally Prince. The police are supposed to protect and serve, not make you fear them. And I'm totally terrified of them now. That's what Sally Prince had to say. Those were her words. Oh, yes. You see, that's the idea. To traumatize the American public and impress the fact that you are nobody, you have no rights, and they can do what they damn well please, without warning and without a warrant. But tell me something. What the hell country is this anyway? Is this 1930s Nazi Germany? Are these cops the Gestapo? Quite obviously, the answer is yes. The answer is yes, ladies and gentlemen. We live in Nazi Germany, and these thugs are the Gestapo. And you will obey orders. Orders that will be obeyed, or you will be shot. We will shoot you like dogs. You will do as you are ordered. Ja, dass ich sprechen Sie aufen und spratzig und durch einen Unterwagen und die Duben sind sugen, eine Biggenden suben, das huftigt eine Uben sind sugen. Jawohl, ja, ja, Sieg, Heil, Sieg, Heil, Sieg, Heil. That's right. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. And you know what we're going to do with that? You know what we're going to put it right out of its misery. There you go. There you have. Oh, wait a minute. It's still moving. Hold on a minute. Hold on. There you go. Give it to him. Yeah. There you have it. There you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and I tell you what, flush them down the old commode. There you go. Flush them down the old commode where they belong. Cops, hey, tell you what, this ain't Friday in Gannon no more, people. This ain't Friday in Gannon no more. Yes, ma'am. No, sir. Only the facts, please. No, indeed. This ain't Friday in Gannon no more, I'm telling you. Okay? All right? Okay? Get used to it, people. Welcome to the new America. Welcome to the new America. Our next headline. Cops break special needs student's arm on a school bus. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, you heard right. You heard right. 2 cops in Rotterdam, New York, broke the arm of a special needs 16-year-old while violently trying to remove him from a school bus. Oh, man. Oh, yes. You heard right. The 2 cops attempted to convince the teenager to get off of the vehicle. They wanted him to get off the bus. The entire time, the kid he remained in his seat unresponsive. He was unresponsive to their request. So you know what they did? The cops then used force to remove him from the bus. The boy's arm was broken in the process. The Rotterdam Police Department maintained that the 2 officers did nothing. They did nothing wrong and were following protocol. That's right. You heard right. I'm not making this up, people. Okay? A statement from the family's attorney, Kevin Louisbrand, he said, when the boy did not respond quickly enough for the police, which is typical for the boy's type of condition, rather than call mental health professionals or wait for the EMTs to arrive on the scene, the police exerted enough force to snap one of the strongest bones in the kid's body. Okay? Are you with me so far? That's not how mentally handicapped people ought to be treated. That's what Kevin Louisbrand had to say, the family's attorney. Now, that's the bad news. That's the bad news. Now here's the good news. Okay? The boy's family is suing the Rotterdam Police Department for $1 million. That's right. That's right. And God willing, they'll get it. Okay? All right? God willing, they will get it. Okay? I know. There you go. $1 million. That's right. I tell you what, though, it's the taxpayers that'll pay it. They'll stick it to the taxpayers. Taxpayers will have to pay it, right? Am I right? Okay. But I tell you what, you ain't heard nothing yet. Arizona cops execute unarmed man that had his hands in the air. Oh, that's right. You heard right. For absolutely no reason other than because they could, cops in Pinal County, Arizona, executed a suspect who was standing there, not near any of the officers. He was standing there with his hands in the air, offering no threat whatsoever. Without trial, judge, or jury, they simply assassinated the man as his family looked on in horror. Oh, yes, that's right. This is your police force, America, protecting and serving you to death. That's right. When did it become okay for police to execute unarmed men that have their hands raised in the air in the act of surrender? Are the police now taking on the roles of judge, jury, and executioner? Whatever happened to our right of due process and a jury trial? Huh? What happened to your rights? I'll tell you what happened to your rights. They got flushed down the old porcelain receptacle. That's right. That's right. They got flushed. Your rights got flushed down the old toilet bowl. That's where your rights have gone, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That's what's happened to them. You have no more rights. The cops can do anything they want to do. They are your masters. Now sit down and shut up and do as you're told. And if you don't like it, well, tough. It's tough. That's tough if you don't like it. Nobody asked you if you like it. If you don't like it, that's too bad. Welcome to 21st century America, ladies and gentlemen. This ain't your mummy and daddy's America anymore. That's right, kiddies. Just shut up and obey orders. And even then, they might just decide to blow you away anyway. Why? Because they can. So there. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Man, oh man, how do you like that? How do you like that? Get on in there. Get on in there, you Nazi bastards. I tell you what. You people make me want to throw up all. Get on in there. Man, oh man. I tell you what. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. Unbelievable. Our next police state headline. Government declares war on lemonade stands, birthday parties, and more. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I tell you what. When I was a kid, my brother and I sold lemonade in our front yard, and the government had nothing to say about it. Okay? All right? But today, you have to have a permit. That's right. What's next? Will the kid that cuts the lawn have to register his business? Huh? Huh? What's next? Will the babysitter have to do the same? Huh? Will you need a permit to throw a birthday party? Will you have to license your kitchen in order to bake and sell cupcakes? Huh? Will you have to notify the government every time you take a piss? Huh? Will you need a permit to fart? Huh? I'm asking you, huh? Well, I tell you what. Alex Jones's little boy, Rex Jones, analyzes stories of the bureaucratic shutdowns of lemonade stands, birthday parties, and cupcake sales for not paying extortion fees to the government. That's right. That's right. We have a clip. And here it is. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Check it out. Here it comes. Any minute.
Throughout history, authoritarian regimes have wanted to control the youth and condition them to spy on their parents and to join Hitler Youth. Publications like Forbes and The Week have asked the question, why is there a war on lemonade stands? We're going to answer that important question. An 11-year-old girl's lucrative cupcake business is in limbo. She was prohibited from selling cupcakes that were made in her home and had not made anyone sick. A 4-year-old Iowa girl had her lemonade stand shut down by local police. Her crime? She had been selling lemonade at 25 cents a cup for less than half an hour and probably didn't make much more than $5. Police informed her that a permit would cost $400. In protest to this kooky and insane attack on an American tradition, August 20th is now unofficially National Lemonade Freedom Day. In Virginia, Martha Bonita was threatened with $5,000 per day fines for such horrific crimes as hosting a birthday party for 8 10-year-olds on a rural property without a permit and for advertising pumpkin carvings. In response, Delegate Bob Marshall introduced HB 1219 into the Virginia General Assembly. It states, local officials who abuse zoning authority powers to cower citizens into submission and deprive landowners of constitutional rights in the enjoyment of their land must be subject to fines and actual damages that they cause, including attorney fees. Colorado students and their parents are furious at their high school after administrators rejected their request for a Spirit Week Day honoring America because it might offend non-Americans. In essence, the high school leaned on the side of racism rather than to allow patriotism to flourish. An 11-year-old Oregon girl, Madison Root, tried to help her father pay for expensive braces by selling mistletoe over the holidays. According to her father, the private security guard hired to oversee the Portland security market told her to simply beg for money rather than to sell mistletoe. Her father stated he does not want to encourage begging and wants people to earn their living. She is so keen on high work ethic. Madison confirmed this. I don't want to beg. I'd rather work for something than beg. People are selling stuff. This is a public place. Despite this reprimanding of her business, she now has 38, and I did say 38, people working for her at a decent $9 an hour. The answer to these attacks is to buy local and support small businesses in your community. The establishment would have you buying big box store goods from Foxconn slave factories. Vote with your dollars and buy local American goods and organic foods. Young people, don't let them intimidate you and stop you from becoming free market. Get outside, stop playing video games and watching TV, and start interacting with the real world. Don't let your brain fall into decay and rot like so many others already have.
There you have it. There you go. There you have it. It's just another case of if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. Welcome to the police state, people. But don't you worry, it's all done to protect you and your family and make you safe and secure. My question would be, who's going to protect us all from all of the totally unreasonable intrusions of Big Brother? And now we move on with police state news. We heard the bad news. Now for some good news. Texas grand jury refuses to indict homeowner who shot deputy during a marijuana raid. That's right. That's right. A grand jury has refused to indict a man who shot and killed a deputy during a raid on his home. Charged with capital murder, Henry McGee was initially arrested following the raid during which he shot a deputy who he thought was an intruder. The Burleston County Sheriff's Department conducted the early morning raid on McGee's home looking for guns and marijuana. It was during this raid that Sergeant Adam Souders was shot and killed. McGee had been awoken from his sleep and thought burglars were entering a house. That's right. He thought there were burglars breaking in. That's right. So, there you have it. Our next headline. Secret Service is sued for $75 million by the family of murdered woman in Capitol car chase. Remember the car chase where they executed the woman? Well, the family of Miriam Carey, the woman that was executed by the Secret Service in front of the White House last October, has filed a $75 million wrongful death suit against the United States of America, the United States Secret Service, and the United States Capitol Police. So there you have it. There you go. The family is also calling for the immediate identification and termination of all police officers, supervisors, managers, and other related employees involved in the matter. Okay? All right? So there you go. Do you remember that incident? I do. Old Wild Bill says, sue the hell out of them. I've seen videos of the whole thing, and what they did was nothing short of execution. Oh, yes. So let's have another great big Samsel Report round of applause for Miriam Carey. That's right. Sue the living daylights out of them. Sue them till they beg for mercy. $75 million. And God willing, they'll get it. That's right. That's right. So there you go. There you have it. This government and these militarized stormtrooper cops need to have the hell suit out of them every time they pull off crap like this. The American people need to stand up and say, enough. Enough already. Okay? All right? Okay. And that brings a close to another installment of the Headline Roundup. I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, I tell you what, it's enough to drive you crazy, isn't it? Isn't it? There we go. There we go. I tell you what, we have a special treat for you guys. We have an important announcement, and we have a special guest. She is soon to be playing the part of Jane Cannery, who is Charlie Danger's girlfriend, in the Samsel Report old-time radio production of The Adventures of Charlie Danger, Private Detective. That's right. Oh, yes. Our special guest tonight is a Revolution Radio Show host, and she's also a stand-up comedian. She is the host of Freedom of Joyce. I am speaking of the one, the only, Terry Joyce. Welcome to the show, Terry. Are you there?
I am here.
There you are. Hey, Terry, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing really well. I'm super excited to be on your show. I've been listening to it. It's very funny. I feel honored to be on the show. And the other guest you had was Hitler. So, you're up there with Hitler. You've made it.
There you go. There you go. It isn't often that we have Hitler calling into the show, you know.
Right. Yeah. He gets around. I don't know. It's weird.
Oh, man. You are the host of the Freedom of Joyce. And
yes.
When are you on? What day can we look forward to listening to your show?
I am on Fridays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And I am after Talking with Your Angels on Studio A.
There you go. There you go. Fantastic. And what time is that again?
It's 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Eastern Time.
Great. Fantastic. You guys all want to tune in to Freedom of Joyce because I tell you what, she's got a hell of a show. You need to check it out, right?
Yes, I really love doing it. I've gotten my first 5 shows under my belt. So I just launched on January 10th, and I had a very a great guest actually it was yesterday. I had Bill Bronner, who is a stand-up comedian and also producer of Comedy Nation with John Fugelsang. So,
man.
yeah, we talked about various topics. Edward Snowden, is he a traitor or a patriot? Of course, we think he's a patriot. But, it makes it a little bit more controversial when you put it out there that way. GMOs and the Super Bowl and how it's so disgustingly mind control happening with it.
Oh, man. And so you cover the whole spectrum then, right?
Oh, yeah. We're comics, so we could keep talking about everything.
There you go. Did you check out the Grammy Awards, did you?
I missed the Grammy Awards. Yeah.
Oh. Okay. All right. Well, you didn't miss a whole hell of a lot.
I did see on YouTube Katy Perry's weird Dark Horse song with Knights Templars cross on her chest and doing the whole witch thing with brooms and stuff. I'm like, wow.
Oh.
Okay, that's interesting.
I tell you what, we're going to have on the show, on the Samsel Report, beginning next week, I do believe, or the week after, one or the other. We are going to begin having Charlie Danger, private detective. And it's going to be like the old radio shows, the old-time radio. And Terry is going to be playing the part of Charlie's girlfriend.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, and it's going to be a blast. I tell you what, it's going to be really cool.
I just read it. I just read I read the scripts, of course, before I came on the show. It's really it reminds me of the old school detective series.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to doing it. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, I love the old-time radio. I really love old-time radio. The detective stories, like Philip Marlowe and what's the other one? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. And I love Amos and Andy and all those old radio shows and putting together an old-time type radio show with Charlie Danger is going to be a trip, man. It's going to be really a bunch of fun. You're going to enjoy yourself.
Well, I've always wanted to play one of those femme fatale kind of characters.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
So I finally get to do it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And like I said, that's going to start next week or the week after. It depends on how long it takes me to edit the thing down and add the sound effects and put the whole thing together. So, but we'll be doing that every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. It's going to be really cool. So thank you for doing that.
Sure.
I appreciate your help on putting this thing together.
Sure. I love doing voiceover work and characters like that.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a trip. And you guys out there need to tune in and check this stuff out because this is going to be really fantastic. So next week or the week after, we're going to start the whole thing off, and then we're going to go straight through all the Charlie books and make the show. So check it out, okay? All you listeners out there, okay? All right? Now, you are also a stand-up comedian, right?
Yes, I'm a stand-up comedian. That's pretty much my trade. I just recently started getting into quite a bit of radio now. Mm-hmm. But I'm a stand-up comedian. I also have done an actress. I don't know how you want to say it.
Cool.
I started out in theater when I was pretty much 9 years old. I that's all I did was do plays and go to rehearsals. Did a lot of comedy shows.
Uh-huh.
Had a flair for it. Did musicals and various shows in high school, college, and a dinner theater
Hey.
that was in my hometown. And then I studied acting at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in Pasadena, California. From there, I got exposed to live stand-up down in at the Improv on Melrose in Hollywood, and was very, very fascinated by it because I had never seen live stand-up before. And of course, it was a really cool time. I don't want to say, it was in the 80s. So it was like kind of when the stand-up comedy boom was taking off.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was looking at, comedians like Richard Lewis and Jerry Seinfeld and, well, Jay Leno would hang out there, and this is before they were really, really well known.
Wow.
So it was Sam Kinison was known then. He was at the Comedy Store.
I love
I used to
Kennison.
see Sam Kinison.
I love Kennison.
I've been around. There was a time where I met Bill Hicks at a place called Igby's and shook his hand for a moment, and so I kind of worked quite a few times with George Lopez. And performed quite a bit out of the Ice House Comedy Club in Pasadena, and I toured all over the United States, and then had a show called there's a show called Last Comic Standing. I was a top 10 finalist on the first season of that show, and they're actually bringing that show back apparently.
Oh, wow!
Sykes, so it's hitting the airwaves again.
Cool. So you've been on HBO too, haven't you?
Well, I haven't been on HBO, but the show did play on Comedy Central, and I've been a little bit on the E! Channel and VH1 a bit.
Wow. Far out. I've been thinking about trying to get into the stand-up thing and doing the stand-up thing. You got any advice for me to how to break into the stand-up thing there?
Well, the main advice I would have would be don't listen to other people, really. Not in a sense. A lot of comics will give you a set of rules, like, oh, you can't, be a juggler, you can't have a puppet, or you can't do music in your act, or you can't, oh, you're a character, just. The main thing is to just trust your own instincts and do what you do the best.
Okay.
And I started out by just talking. I would just get up in front of a microphone and just talk about things that bugged me. Or really, I took a class with a guy. His name is Stanley Myron Handelman.
Okay.
And he'd be like Stanley Myron Handelman. He was like a cute little Jewish man with a cap on. He had done and he talked real slow, and he had done Ed Sullivan.
Okay.
That was like this, claimed it a few times, and so he was a really great teacher, and took his class, and he just said, just come to class and talk about what you feel negative about. And so it was a great release, if you can make what you feel negative funny.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big Carlin fan. I love Carlin, And
I love George Carlin.
Isn't he something else?
Yeah. He is. He was quite prolific. I think some comedians are kind of like at prophet status, or I believe it goes back to the ancient Greek time where, there's the satirist and they play, I think being a funny person, we play an important role in society. If you do step up to the plate that way, not everybody who is a comedian feels that kind of calling. But I feel, or there's not that many, maybe it's a point of agitation that you just can't stand it anymore. You have to, point out the flaws in the government and life and whatever is injustice or what you wish to have better. I feel like a lot of comedians, we're kind of like idealists in some way, or we, like the picture's crooked and it needs to be straightened, and the humor in the fact that it's not straight.
Oh, right.
Is where it lies. And hopefully in that realization, we actually push ourselves or our world to actually straighten the picture.
Right. I got to watch myself as I'm doing this here program. because I don't want to cross over the edge, and I want to go over the, to push the envelope too far.
Well, I do understand that feeling, and let me tell you something. I have pushed the envelope too far. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I've gotten smacked a few times. I'm not smacked physically, but I've been in trouble by people, and we didn't really appreciate that. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry. It's like there are certain restrictions that you have. For example, we're on the air, so
right.
There's certain things that are FCC regulated or required if you take a certain job. They say, well, we want you to do it this way. Okay, well, if you sign up for the job, then you've given yourself over to doing that. But sometimes your judgment still isn't right. I'm glad that I haven't had mistakes like on real media. I mean, like when I was in television, I knew, I didn't want to get kicked off the show. So, I basically knew how to play the game.
There you go.
But when you're in a club and you're in front of an audience and you're, things are going on and you're just free in the moment being and thinking who you are, like you do think the way you do.
Right.
I've had people just say, well, we want our money back. We think she's disgusting. And they go, oh, luckily in most of those cases, I worked at clubs where they really liked me and they supported the free expression of the artist. But I have had certain areas where they didn't, appreciate it so much, and I went back to my hotel room with my tail between my legs. Not saying I have a tail, but
well, it's that instant response that you get from the audience that you.
Yeah, ultimately, it's in some ways it's an expression of your truth or what you feel like. It's kind of like things are just coming out of you, on me or anybody. And to me, that's, if I see an artist like that, regardless of how offensive what they might be saying, and the reason why people might be offended might be because they're talking about things, for instance, shadow government. Or think about Bill Hicks. The things that he said, kind of enraged people, not because he was using profanity per se, but it was about the subject matters in which the places that he was touching in people. Right. And where they found it, people found him to be offensive, but he wasn't going to compromise who he was and what he did. He's like, this is what I do. You can't. This is how I talk to people. This is the way I would be with my friends, and I would think that that's what you would want from me. And I subscribe to that philosophy.
There you go. There you go. I've been a musician all my life. I've written songs. I've been a songwriter and a vocalist, and I've fronted bands, and I think that's a pretty good qualification there. What do you think? Is that
I feel that there's something, comedy and music go together. I have a lot of musicians. I kind of, have a crossover of musical abilities as well. And a lot of my musician friends that I know, I'm kind of a groupie sometimes too. I've hung out at the whiskey. But a lot of my friends are very funny. A lot of musicians are very funny. A lot of comics have musical abilities. One time I got invited to go to, it was Sam Kinnis's birthday party, and we went to a recording studio in Burbank. That's where it was all at. And there was like Billy Idol there and stuff,
okay.
And a bunch of the comedians got up together and started playing instruments. And it was at that time that I realized that there was this connection. So I feel that people who are musicians could very easily cross over and do stand-up and probably vice versa in terms of comedians being able to sing or to work with music, because there's a timing, there's a rhythm to it.
Right.
It's musical. Right. It's musical with words in some ways, with beats and phrases and. My worry would be about memorizing stuff, because I would be up in front of the band, and every once in a while you have a brain fart and you can't remember what the first word to the song is. So I would turn around to the bass player or to the drummer and I'd say, hey, what was the first word? What was the first word? And he would say, he would tell me what the first word of the song was, and then I'd remember it, So
So, do you have to memorize what you're going to do before you go on stage, or do you just wing it as when you get out there?
Well, it's funny. I don't write a whole lot of stuff down.
Mm-hmm.
I usually don't even write my joke out word for word. I kind of bullet point it,
Uh-huh.
and then I go, okay, I'm going to see the punchline's going to be here somewhere, and then I just speak it, and then I remember how it went, like what laughs happened or whatever, and then I just kind of like retweak it again next time I go up and talk about it. So, some things, it's good to record yourself.
Right.
That way you can replay it again. Sometimes I have spontaneous interaction. Things just kind of come out with me in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'll think of a tagline to a joke that I might have been doing or a bit that I might have been doing for a really long time. And all of a sudden, a new aspect of it happened because you're in the moment. So I actually have a fairly good memory, but I think that it's kind of, if you start with one thing and then you go to the next. I mean, there's times I've gotten off stage and went, "Oh God, I forgot that piece," or
Right.
"Oh, why did I forget that?" But what are you gonna do?
Well, one thing.
It's like music, you just sort of know it, and then you just let it come out of you.
Right. One thing leads into another, and it triggers off. Yeah, it triggers things off in your memory, right?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is that if you're doing, let's say, if you're doing a competition set, or if you are on, television and you have a 4-minute time frame or 3-minute time frame, then then that's when I become very meticulous about every single word and every single beat that I'm going to say in that moment, because it's like then it becomes more of a science.
Right.
But in live performance, I kind of I do like to give myself the space to free flow.
There you go. So tell me a little bit about your show. You say you've been doing it for what, 4 or 5 weeks now? You've been on.
Yeah, I've been on Revolution Radio. Last Friday. Yesterday was my 5th show.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm new to the network. And then before this, though, I also do another show called Hollywood Hemptress Hour on the Time for Hemp Network.
Okay.
I've been, I'm about a 7-year cannabis activist now.
Oh.
When I started to take a turn in my life, and become more conscious and activism oriented, after I was actually in a raid. I was by the DEA and the FBI, and I was in a doctor's office that was in the same building that was had a medical marijuana dispensary in California.
Wow.
So I was, guns on me with us, and handcuffed and interrogated and all that kind of stuff. But after it was all over, I shook the hands of the DEA, and I said, "Thank you for giving me 30 minutes of new material."
There you go.
I figured nobody has DEA jokes, right? Nobody. How many comics have been in an FBI raid, right? I go, "Oh, finally, something that nobody can steal from me."
There you go. So you came out the winner anyway, right?
Right. Yeah, it was everything. Everything has a silver lining.
There you go. So tell us again what time you're on the Revolution Radio, and what day and all, and go ahead and give us a plug for your show there.
Oh, okay. I am on, it's called Freedom of Joyce, and I am at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.
Mm-hmm.
On Fridays, and I believe I come right on after Talking with Your Angels.
There you go. Fantastic. And of course, starting next week or the week after, we're going to be doing the Charlie Danger Private Detective, and I tell you what, it's going to be a trip. It's going to be cool. So all you guys out there, you need to tune in and check it out. And thanks, Terry, for being on the show tonight. I really appreciate it. God bless you.
Bless you. God bless you.
Well, I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only Terry Joyce. There you go. A big Samsel Report round of applause for Terry Joyce. There you have it. And I'll tell you what, we're getting down to the last minute here in the show. Come back next week. We'll see you guys next week. God bless you all.
Listen to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We'll be right back after this message.